Okay. Welcome everyone to tonight's Parish Council meeting, 29th of June. It shouldn't be a long one, it's just a few sign-offs to do and to listen to a presentation by Bob there about the Thornhead Moor. So, first of all, apologies for absence. He will, will he? Trevor for the time being, and David? Okay. Declarations of interest? Anyone?
Not that I know of. Yeah.
No? Okay. Minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of June. I've got the minutes here. I've seen various emails to and froing about them. But are we happy now that they are a true record and that I can sign them off at the end? Yeah. Yep, good, thank you. Public participation. Ooh, really? Okay. Right, Thornhead Moor. An overview of the status, grazes, rights, etc. from Bob Hicks. Are you happy to come up and chat? Very good. And Andrew Hayward afterwards, I guess. Bob, are you happy to do your presentation and answer questions afterwards, or are you happy to have questions all the way through?
Questions as you go.
I'll leave it to you to, if someone puts them.
First thing I would say is declaration of interest. Two people in this room should have declared in respect of Thornhead.
Okay.
Because members of their family are graziers at Thornhead.
I spoke to Joe about that.
It needs to be publicised every time. Right.
Okay, interesting.
Do we do that now?
Who are the two?
Sorry, I don't make the rules. I'll
Right,
just
okay.
give you a warning.
Is it okay? Can we just
Do we redo
for
that?
future reference? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thornhill Head is potentially the biggest cause of trouble you'll have as a parish council. It's a large asset. As a parish council, you're a very large landowner, acreage-wise, because there's something like 90 acres up at Thornhill Head. This parish council owns. Now, how does it own it? Is a very interesting question. You go back to the time when we all wore grass skirts and the Lord of the Manor wore his grass skirt also. Lots of people went out and enclosed land. But the poorest land didn't get enclosed. And it was left with the Lord of the Manor. And that is basically what happened with Thornhead Moor. And some people had the right to graze it. Over the years, there would have been arguments as to who got what rights to graze it. Some people had it written into their deeds what they got to they got to graze, so many sheep, so many cattle, so many pigs, so much right to take turf, all sorts of things. Nationally, it was a big problem because they were fighting tooth and nail like cats all over the country over common rights. So in the early 60s, the government said, we'll solve this one. And they brought in the Commons Registration Act, 1965, which meant that you had 5 years in which to register your ownership and your rights to graze or take turf or whatever. And I would suggest if you go back through your minutes in that period, there would have been some very interesting discussions here. Because the it's a public register, anyone can go and see who's got what rights. Now, Andrew Hewitt many years ago did in fact make a lot of effort to get the details, and we have got a record of who's got the rights. And they're what, in Thornleigh talk now, we talk of as the graziers. It gets very complicated because only certain fields, they were registered against fields, and when farms like Belson have been split up, the fields have gone to Tom, Dick and Harry. There's little bits of right here, there and everywhere. So the people with rights to graze, I don't know the exact number now, but it's probably 15, 16, somewhere up there. And those people are the only people with the right to graze. George has got a lot of land in Buckland. He's got no rights to graze Thornleigh. I've got no rights to graze Thornleigh. People with a Trevor has. People with a farm next door to Thornleigh may well not have a right to graze it if it was not registered in the 65 Act. And you cannot now register. That book is closed. So the graziers do become very relevant. The parish council, in taking ownership, over the years had to fight lots of battle with people driving over the moor to get to fields and grazing that shouldn't, and grazing more cattle than they should. And there's heaps and heaps of minutes, I'm sure, because going back in history, one's heard talk of all the rows on the parish council about it. And what I'm travellers. And travellers is another problem.
And the illegal slurry spreading.
Yes, slurry spreading. Well, now things were muddling along. You had Thornwidger used to turn Devon cattle out on the moor, and that was about it. And the moor was going back and back, and when Tom and Olive got older and didn't turn the cattle out, the moor was deteriorating badly.
Mr. Cole's turned cattle out.
Pardon?
Mr. Cole's turned cattle out, dairy.
He was turning cattle out, but he was about the only one. But then we had a visitation from the Open Sandal Brigade with their beards, and they decided that Thornhill Head was absolutely wonderful from a nature point of view. And we ended up designated as a site of special scientific interest. Some parts of Thornleigh Moor are much more environmentally valuable than others, and you are the proud owners of an extremely rare animal that lives up there, a shrimp. I'm told it may be 1/4 of an inch long, certainly not big enough to eat. Every open-toed sandal brigade with a beard that gets up there immediately has got to go and look for it. They rarely ever find it, but it is protected. It's one of only a few places in the country that has it. In the meantime, the moor was deteriorating. Scrub was taking over. Bear in mind that in the Second World War, there were potatoes grown on Thornleigh.
My grandfather organised that.
Pardon?
My grandfather had to organise all that.
There was corn as
So,
well.
Shine corn.
you know,
Yeah.
it was deteriorating, scrub getting in, all sorts of things getting in. Natural England didn't like that because, of course, it was to some extent covering, choking out the little plants they wanted. And they started to put pressure on the parish council as owners to do something about it. Well, the parish council hadn't got any money because it was envisaging a very large expenditure. In the end, we negotiated with DEFRA and we entered into one of the government schemes to manage it for 10 years, I think it was. And they would pay, and they paid something 90, 100,000 pounds for the fencing, the cattle grids, and the gates, etc. So, and then they paid for 2 men to spend many, many, many days up there, cutting down scrub growth, which had to be burnt on site, but burnt on sheets of galvanised, not on the ground, because the ashes mustn't go into the soil and spoil the pH and all that malarkey. That was done, but they weren't allowed to clear it. Certain ones had to be left because Natural England envisaged that it would be nicest with some scrub trees. Well, that was done. The fencing was done. We're coming towards the end of the agreement. We're not there yet, but we're getting close to it. Then the floodgates will come. At the moment, there is a payment made, which is made to the parish council, basically for the paying the graziers to graze the moor. And that is the money that the parish council was receiving.
And upkeep.
And upkeep, yes, but hold on. Now, with the TB regulations as they are,
Yeah.
2 farmers would not wish to put their cattle on the same piece of ground and can't risk it.
It's illegal.
But,
It's illegal.
well, no, it can be done because it's done on Dartmoor, for instance. Having said that, no farmers around Thornlead would want to do it. You've got Holwall dairy, Silklands dairy, they don't want to mix dairy with scrubby beef cattle. Coles, Trevor Coles is the one who does graze it, will graze it, and in effect manages it. When it needs swaling, because Natural England say when we can swale it and when we can't, and what can be swaled and what can't. Coles have got the men they can put up there to do the swaling. So it's been extremely convenient that Coles have been the ones to graze it.
Sorry to sound ignorant. What's swaling?
Burning it.
Burn. Okay.
Colses are not allowed to fertilise it, not allowed to spread dung on it, none of that, that's Natural England rules. It just graze the grass that's there. Natural England were particularly concerned, the piece that they were really concerned about is what I would call the southeast portion of the moor.
With the masters.
No,
No?
down the lower side, opposite Trevor Coles. In the division between Chisholm Road and Stibb Road. That is where they think most of the valuable stuff is, albeit the shrimps aren't.
So as you go left, as you go from Thornlead Moor to Stibb Cross, you talking about on the left hand
Pardon?
side or the right? As you go from Thornlead Moor Cross to Stibb Cross, are you talking about the left hand side or on the right hand side?
Right
By
on.
Victor Brown's?
Side opposite Coles plant.
Is it by,
Not
not
the
by
left
Victor Brown's? Not by Victor Brown's? Not
Pardon?
Not down by the other side of the road?
Yeah, the opposite side of the road to Coles plant.
Oh, I see.
Opposite like Fritz
Up
Hack.
to
So
Stibb
that's
Cross.
SSI.
Yeah. So the triple SI is that large section there, and then as you take the Four Cross Way, the other corner of it where the ferry shrimp are, where Fritz happened, where his is, that's not triple SI.
Oh, it's not.
No, and the opposite side, so running north of Cole's Yard, that side, sort of grassier area,
Yeah, it's not.
that is not triple SI. There are two parts of the quarter that are, and two that are not triple SI.
Sorry, sir.
Which is why, to sort of make it viable, the big part of the SSI and the other bit that has got a degree of grazing on it was what was fenced. Natural England wouldn't pay to fence the lot because it need 1, 2, 3 more cattle grids. They wouldn't put the money to it. Which is why the top piece with the shrimps, it's got the seat there, people can sit on it, and it gets topped over once a year. Some would say it's in good condition, but it can't be grazed because nobody can risk putting their stock out on an unfenced road on that road.
Not like it used to be.
You know, years ago, yes, Tom and Olive's cows would travel here, there and everywhere. It was no problem. Right, so we end up now, you've got quite a bit of money in the bank account, Thornleigh account. I've often heard parish councillors say, well, we should use that for the parish. You can't. It's ring fenced for Thornleigh. To be precise, if it belongs to anyone, it belongs to the graziers.
I dispute that, sir.
Hmm?
I dispute that.
I know you do, George, but I'm still telling you you're wrong because
I'm
a
not
large
wrong.
portion
I'm
of
not
the
wrong.
payment is in respect of the grazing that is being done.
You did an agreement with the graziers right at the start of what exactly was there. The rest of the money was for fencing and everything else that was done. And there's still a lot more to do
There was a grazier's agreement done,
by RH Hixico.
There was a grazier's
which I
agreement.
signed,
Hmm?
which I signed.
By RH Hixico. As we asked them to do. We asked them to do that.
The amount of monies is not specified.
No.
But Bob, right, legally, if any of the money doesn't get used on the moor, the only other entitlement are the graziers.
No, I'm sorry, I dispute that and I'll take that all the way.
George, I can guarantee you're wrong.
No,
Okay, let's leave it at that then, George. Let's agree to disagree there and
thank
carry
you.
on.
Thank you.
The facts are that once we did actually, very early on, we did do a payout to the graziers. And we did it on a pro rata basis to what they're registered for. But that is the money for the grazing.
So we pay a graziers every year or every other
We
year?
haven't paid the graziers for years.
Yeah, we have. Yes.
That's all right.
So we paid, you agreed with the graziers so much every year per whoever signed up. And that was what your firm, Andrew at the moment, it was somebody else before. And every so often we have a set to, and we pay out the graziers what is right.
The reason for paying the graziers is not to graze.
Agreed, yes, sorry, yes,
Because we have
yes.
one person
It's the
grazing,
ones who are not to graze, yes.
We have one person grazing, which is Trevor Cole.
Yes, that's quite
And
right.
the money is to
Non-grazers,
give
You are
to the
entitled.
graziers for
not
not
claims.
grazing.
Yes, I said that the wrong way around.
Compensation.
I apologise, I agree to that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
Bob, you carry on.
yes, there is surplus money building up, as George is sort of looking at. The problem you've got is, when it was fenced, the government specialised, we had to have 10 miles fence posts. We had 10 miles fence posts. They're already rotten,
Right, yeah.
and they ain't got very long to go. And it's going to need an awful lot of money to be spent replacing an awful lot an SSSI.
That's right.
So, you know, it seems like a wonderful thing. The money's in the kitty, but life ain't good. In some respects, it's a liability. Now, what can you do with it? The public have got the right to roam on it, go up there with dogs, you can't stop them. They drive on it. If travellers turn up there, they can stay there as long as you like until the parish council takes action to kick them off. That will cost the parish council a lot of money in lawyers, and you'll have to clear up the rubbish behind. Yes, it is a liability in effect to the parish. It all sounds good on the surface, but not so. George, yeah.
With all the new, what I'm turning around, and I should need your good advice and Andrew's good advice. Now, with carbon credits and whatever, that is a valuable asset to the parish council with what can be brought in through management and the new environmental schemes. That area there can be worth a lot of money to the parish council.
Potentially, we always live in hope.
Yeah, yes, I would agree, Paul.
Carbon credits are a new thing where a developer, when they develop everything, either houses or build a road or whatever, have to put back an environmental good thing. So the developers now go out and buy extremely good quality land, plant it to trees, and they get a lot more, or they can do a lot more with their money than buying poor quality land, strangely enough, because of the environmental good they're doing. It's getting rid of their good land, what most of us would call good land, for the benefit of the environment. George?
With your good offices and Andrew's good offices, there are schemes out there that we need to advise it on. You don't have to sell the land. You've got other schemes on air credits, carbon credits, and all the rest that can we get from. We do not have to, and we will not sell that land.
No, you commit for 30 years.
Yeah, well, there are other schemes than that, but we'll need someone's good offices who are prepared to quote for the job or whatever you do. Sorry, I won't mind anything, I'm winding things up there. But anyway, so under your good offices and Andrew's, Mr. Hayward's good offices there, that with all the knowledge and the brain power you got, Bob, we will be...
You're right, George, but you've missed the point that the majority of the money goes on good quality land. This is not good quality land.
There's a fight to be had.
Robert, it's just a question of winding back. When does that DEFRA agreement come to an end? When does the DEFRA agreement come to an end?
The initial 10-year period ended 21, and then they rolled it on to 2 years of extension, and then we agreed a 5-year extension early part of this year, I think it was from memory, so it's about 2028. But by doing that, the whole beauty, so the old agreement was under European, because obviously at that point, 2011 it started, 2010, 2011, we were part of the European Union, very black and white, their policy. You were in for 10 years, something good had come along the year after that was going to pay you £500,000 a year, you were stuck. There was no way of getting out, you were in for 10 years. Now that by signing that 5-year extension in effect, you're under domestic policy, because naturally we now view that as a new agreement, even though it is an exact carbon copy of the old one. And when we looked at it, to do a new agreement under what they call, yours is under higher level stewardship, the new schemes are called higher tier, just to make it nice and confusing. But there was no benefit in doing a whole new application and a whole new agreement, because your fencing has previously been grant funded. Replacement fencing, under strict interpretation, cannot be grant funded, because you should not replace a grant funded fence with another grant funded fence, which is why it was chosen to extend it rather than going into a new one, because then by the time we have, obviously somebody would have had to do an application, you have had to pay for that. They are quite complicated, these applications, they don't come cheap. And actually, in terms of the financial return for annual payments, when I looked at it, it was about £100 different a year, I think, from memory off the top of my head. Having said that, there are new schemes coming, and that's the beauty of our own domestic policy, is if something new comes along, so there's some new bits and pieces coming out in August, and there's going to be some more next spring, particularly on sort of commons and moorland things. If they look better, you can end that 5-year agreement you're in early, as long as you swap across into a new agreement. So your 5 years, you can't just walk away from it, you have to stay for the 5 years, but you can swap across to a new scheme if it looks better. Currently, stay where you do, I would say, because financially you are better off with what we've got and the payment that you are getting. Having said that, if it changes, you do now have the beauty of having the option. You can swap, you can cut it short. If in 2 years' time, you're 3 years into the agreement, something comes out and you're like, hang on, that's what we need. We can notify Natural England, the RPA, and you can end that one and you can swap across. So
Do you get those updates all the time so
yeah,
that you can?
So we're always looking and seeing where it's to. There are bits and pieces coming from all, and the biggest problem that you will face is that although it is a large land area, in the scale of moorlands, it's tiny. So a lot of moorland payments, I mean, if you take like a lowland for payment rate, say for low input grassland, on a lowland farm you'd be £151 a hectare. Historically, moorland has been £16 a hectare, and that is purely because a lot of moorlands are large, so obviously that £16 a hectare soon adds up, whereas lowlands are obviously a lot smaller. That is changing, and there is talk of moving some of those moorland payment rates. It has now moved up to 95 a hectare, so it is a lot better than it was, but it's still not the lowland rate. And obviously 90 acres, it is big, but yeah, in moorland terms, you go down to Dartmoor, that's nothing, it's tiny. And that is where you will always feel slightly hard done by, I suppose, is that your acreage, when you pay per acre, because the options that are available, they will be a lot lower paid, because on average across the country, people with that type of land have a lot more of it. So their annual income ends up being a lot higher simply because of the amount of land they've got. But I mean, yeah, on average, I can't remember what your payment is now, but it isn't a bad payment. George?
Could one say, because, and I've got evidence, it was ploughed up in the war for potatoes and cereals and everything else, it's lowland? No.
Not now. It's been so long in
Fine.
permanent.
I was on losing weight.
Technically now to go and plough it, because you're over the 10 years, there's been no mechanical
Sorry,
or
I digress.
chemical cultivation. You would need 10 years, you
Yeah.
would need environmental impact assessment to plough it, so yeah, it would be complicated
Okay.
for what it is.
Bob, we've digressed a bit, sorry.
Well, I was largely finished. I was thinking Andrew would sort of take on that you've done the grant thing to a large extent.
Yeah, to a certain, I mean, yeah, in terms of the money that needs spending, the south side of the moor, the border with W's Moor, right opposite Coles Plan, it is wet. It is sat in water pretty much all year round. I'm hoping, now it's a bit dry, I might get down there and have a look at some posts to get a bit of an idea, because it needs refencing down there. It's simple as that. It needs doing now because the posts are gone.
Can I just ask on
Yeah.
I know we've just supplied, we got the same fencing put in 15 years ago underground, and we've got fencing rotted, and we can get grant funding to redo it. If you rip the old stuff out, you can get grant funding to do right through a new fencing. Is that right or is that wrong?
Yes, but on higher tier, it's a lot more difficult.
Right.
That's the biggest
Oh, that's
problem
higher
is
tier.
by-
Yes, sorry.
Because it's higher tier than triple SI and things. And
Yep.
there will, highly likely, there will always be some form of funding
Yep.
for Thornhill Edmore. Because of that triple SI designation, as the owners, you are under a legal obligation to maintain and manage that. You cannot walk away from it, in effect. Natural England, you could be prosecuted, in effect, in the worst cases, if you let it go back. But yeah, so in terms of work that needs doing, there is the fencing, which I need to get up there, work out what needs doing, how many posts and things, and yeah, need to get people to quote and things, which we're starting to look at all of that and get that sorted. And then there's also scrub, that all needs clearing out again. Finding contractors to do it is very difficult. I tried to last year, nobody wants to do it. It's very difficult to find sort of ring fence, not touched it, let it build up. Rightly or wrongly, it has built up. But some of that is for that ongoing maintenance, because there was initial capital payments for the scrub clearance to get it done, and now it all needs doing again to be maintained and just keeping on top of that. So that's what sort of that money is there, and why we have allowed it to build up, I suppose, and not just paid it out. And that's why, the graziers have always talked, well, should they be paid more? And we've always said no, because actually that money is going to be needed to do these maintenance works to make sure you continue to get those annual payments like that.
Just sorry. So the maintenance work and arranging remedial works, is that all done by you? You manage that for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? The fencing.
Yep.
I appreciate you've got to get quotes and all the rest of it, but what sort of ballpark are we talking about? Are we talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands?
It won't be hundreds. It's difficult because it's by hand, and a lot of it on that south side will be by hand, which makes it a lot more complicated. And I need to get down and work out how many posts it is. But I would say, yeah, you will be talking sort of 5 to 10,000. I would have thought. I don't. In all honesty, it's very difficult for me to get. But I would say that's sort of roughly where you're to, depending, because it is. It's not easy work. It's very intensive to get down.
Is it just that south side that needs to be posted?
At the minute, that is the main area of concern, and that is purely because it's so wet down there. It has been.
Would we be allowed to put, it being so wet, and would we be allowed to put the track fencing machines in there, or is this special note you've got down there?
No, you could put in track.
So we put in.
It's one question that I've got to go to Natural England and ask, because it is so overgrown down there, you wouldn't fit a tracked machine, and it's whether Natural England would be agreeable to us taking out some of the woods and some of the plants and things. So that is one of the questions that we've got to look at.
But we could argue the case that if we got to fence it, we've got to fence it, full stop.
Yeah, it's got to be done, and there's a bit of a balance between the pre-work to get a tracked machine in there is quite considerable, because it is pretty thick down there. I haven't walked it now for probably 18 months, but it was hard work going through there when it was. So I think in terms of the cost of doing it by hand and all of the pre-work to cut and scrub,
We'd never do
I
it.
don't know that you'd be saving all that much.
You wouldn't never do it beyond.
No, it would be hard work, wouldn't it?
Well, you would never do
It was done in the first place by hand.
George, that bit against the Still Cross Road, down through there towards Whole Round, or you wouldn't get a machine in there. If you step off the main road over the verge, I guarantee you'll go up to here.
Yeah, I've seen a digger go down and have to go get a bigger digger.
You won't
Put
get
it up.
anything in there.
They did use a tracked machine for some of them when they did it, but they can't use it for all. But also remember now, what's worrying me out there, we've got 12, 15 years of scrub growth
I know.
that's come up.
Yeah.
The best one in the
Would
world.
one be allowed to
eating that off.
Would one be allowed to swale it?
Yes, but Natural England are very, very choice about what they'll allow.
Well, we'd
Where's
have,
our maps, Andrew? We were going to knock out some maps for that.
we would have to get their permission, but if they want stuff
We've got
done,
their permission,
sorry,
but it's only over a certain area.
Yeah, I know.
It was done back a lot, but it looks so much more better afterwards.
Yeah.
What
But
we've done.
if Natural England wants this stuff done, then either they can put the staff in to do it,
That is.
or we could have to swale it.
Yeah,
Oh, you got a spare one? Oh, I didn't see that. Thank you.
Oh, they put them all together.
No, two different. It's two different. I don't know quite what that one is.
Yeah, hang on, I will explain them all to you.
And the box, what one is. Each of them is the same. And this is 7.
here's an overview. Right, they've all got numbers up here, so you should end up with all of the maps.
Oh, is it all different?
I've got three the same, all the same, by the way.
Tell them the secretary.
Oh, is he showing?
Sorry, Anne.
That's all right. Yeah, no, that's fine. Right.
Right, members, can I ask you to consider as the one thing on the plan as a part 2 item?
Yep.
That is to say, it is not discussed outside this meeting. Technically, the public should be excluded, but I know they are,
Well,
they understand.
If-
Stream it,
I know, so how do we go about, you would like to enter part 2
I
now?
don't particularly want you to, I want you to treat it as part 2. One of the plans you have been given shows the residence of the Shrimps.
The only other person in the public gallery to know that is me.
Right, in that case then, sorry,
It is not to be publicised.
you've got a rule on this, Mr. Chair.
You don't want people
Which one is it? Which one is it?
most of you won't understand where it is.
I can show you.
It's just that too many, it's only a very small pond and many people soon remove this parish from existence.
Yeah.
This time
You
you
gotta-
want to
Wow.
know it's there.
I agree. It shouldn't be publicised.
Have we ascertained that this asset is still there?
Been and got under a list of what Natural England checked on
Where is this?
to make sure it's in existence.
Yeah.
Scientists roaming around.
Oh, right up near the road. Okay.
You can see it. Right.
I'm sorry, can I just interrupt a minute?
You won't find it at the
How
time.
do we go about, no, when you
The pond completely dries up.
go into stage 2?
Can I just interrupt just a minute, because this is going to be very difficult for the public watching on streaming. There's a lot of talking going on simultaneously.
Sorry.
So,
So
it's quite difficult to.
how do we, through the chair, how do we deal with this to go into stage 2?
Well-
When do we go to stage 2?
Bob has asked that this be treated as a stage 2, the location. That's all he's saying. You don't want this publicised.
Strictly confidential
Yeah.
on that location.
I would suggest that we don't talk about that bit anymore,
Yeah.
because that's out of most of the agreement, and then that will save us a problem.
If you go back to the other plan, the compartment locations are explained there.
What map number are you looking at?
Not 2.
Yeah, so map 2, that one shows you obviously where the sort of main areas of the moor are. You got one over there?
No, we've only got, I've only
No,
got
we haven't
4 and
got one
5.
here at all.
4 and 5 are the only ones we've got. And there's some more.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I've only got 4 and 5 and these more 5.
That one's got the numbers on it, that one will do it.
Okay.
So obviously you can see on that map, sort of the 4 main areas labelled A, B, C, D, and then there is that little strip of scrub marked E that E we don't really ever do anything with like that. So obviously A and C, they are the fenced in areas, they're the ones that are grazed. So I mean in terms of looking at the fencing work, we're looking at sort of the south side of A really is the main issue on that one. In terms of scrub clearance, we're looking at the north of C, along there by the road, where obviously there's quite a lot of scrub that's built up. Those are the areas of main concern. Having said that, the north of Part A is quite small, and at the minute I think sort of the plan is when we get the north of C done, to go in with Part A at the north and try and get that cleared with sort of, you can do it with brush cutters or sort of heavy duty strimmers really will do that, whereas the north of C is chainsaws and burning on tin sheets like we did back in 2010, 2011. B and D somewhat left. D in particular is just left for its own thing. B is topped sort of a couple of times a year really, but that's not grazed.
quite overgrown there, isn't it?
Some of the areas, yeah, it needs doing now, it needs topping to be honest now, like that, but B is somewhat left because it's not grazed and unlikely that it ever will be realistically because of the cost of doing it, and it's such a small area that if it was to be grazed, it's unlikely highways would grant for cattle grids to be put on that main road, and it's unlikely Natural England or anybody's going to fund it either. It is a fast road, so it's a lot more complicated to put cattle grids and things there. So the only other option would be to fully fence Area B in its own right, but the benefits of that are negligible, and the management of it will become a lot more difficult for anybody, because obviously then cattle probably would have to be moved a lot more. There's going to have to be a lot less cattle there if they're left all through the summer, whereas having Area A and C running together, it's a significant area that actually cattle can be turned out.
On B, can people walk, I mean obviously they do, they walk around there, but it can't be like cleared out so that, you know, people can have a nice walk and things like that, where obviously
so the area,
A and C is grazier, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I know I've seen lots of dogs up there, but I mean, you know, I don't know.
No, Area B is used, when it's topped, it is a lot better. So there's an area to the north-east, there's a bit of parking there just by those houses, so I know some people will park there and then they'll walk up through to it, which does work quite well when it's been topped, like that, but topping is sort of restricted a little bit, particularly in the summer months, because of bird nesting seasons and things. We are quite restricted on how many times we can do that throughout the year and when. And so yeah, now it's coming into July, we'll be able to actually go and do that. But before then, we have been restricted on that, like that. But yeah, I mean, A and C, they are used quite a lot. Dog walking and different things. There's not too many times you go up there and there's not somebody there, like that. Whether they're parked in the laid oil, parked, yeah, you can see very often. Some are parked there, but it's quite well used.
Getting County Council made a nice parking bay up the top by the new sign.
Yeah.
They've torn that road lay by on.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, with the new regenerative complete rewilding schemes, wood, and where you just do nothing with it, is that feasible for this and pick up a lot of money from?
Not at the moment. So rewilding, I would say, is a fashionable word that's thrown around, for which there is no government funding for.
Well, sorry, over in Kent, 5,000 acres has been put in, and up in Suffolk, there's another 10,000 acres has been put in. Some wealthy Lord Diddley Squat. They've completely gone rewilding, and they put in wolves and bears and beavers and all the rest of it. Is it feasible? Because I think, you know, you say it was 90 acres. I understood it was 108 acres. Anyway, that's a minor point. But you would have to look at all that. But what you're saying is this at a, what you call SSI and all the rest of it, could this be a full-grown, wild, regenerative, and pick up the money for that?
Potentially, yes. The only thing I would say is that it will always need management because of the scrub.
Yep.
And scrub holds very little environmental benefit, or large patches of it. And doesn't.
Wait a minute, can we look at
a blanket of scrub doesn't have all that.
We could have a meeting one day, not tonight,
no.
discuss everything that is possible.
The whole plan is more of a mosaic,
Yeah.
and that is what Natural England always wanted. That's why we've always done swaling and a certain amount. There is a certain amount of scrub. There is retained scrub up there that is to stay in things, but there are large areas of it that they don't want because blanket scrub. It's like rushes. Yeah, they don't particularly like rushes, not that.
But it would be, we're going to, you know, parishioners may want it because they must be able to, if they want to take their dogs, they can go for the walks and mental health and all the rest of it. It may not be, may not be feasible. So it's going to be discussed right through all.
Yeah, no. There's potential, to actually split it up a bit and use certain areas for certain bits.
But it's going to need some discussion with a lot of serious advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's right.
As the schemes change, at the minute, you're probably in the best scheme that you could be in. I don't.
Yeah.
There wouldn't really be
I
anything
would
else
agree.
you could
I
squeeze
would
out of there.
Quite agree.
Having said that, it's changing a lot for everybody, and it's keeping track of it. And you don't necessarily want to rush in either to a
No.
change like that, because there are always teething problems with any new schemes, and there are always quite a lot of changes as well that might come within the first year or two of a new scheme. So at the minute, I would say, yeah, better the devil we know, and we carry on as to where we're to, and keep going, but definitely it needs to be under annual review,
Yeah.
really, which, yeah, we're always looking and thinking, is there something better out there like that? But at the minute, there's not a lot, really. It's quite slow pace, I would say. The agri-environment changes are not keeping up necessarily with the reduction in some other payments, but you will one day need something new, but we know that we're good until 2028
Right.
at
Thank
the
you.
minute, which is, it's nice to have that security, and also for planning, like we can look at where the costing and things are, we know what money you've got, we know when it's coming, we can forecast and cash flow for all of that. Anything else, Bob?
There was another map you were showing me where you could sort of break down the bits that can be swales and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there is a swaling plan, which is...
Have we got it? We got something.
I've got scrub clearance, that's one, isn't it? Or is
That one.
it swaying?
So it's map 6. Yeah, map 6. Can everybody see a copy of map 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Right, so map 6, that is the swaling management plan. Those are the blocks which we are allowed to swale. Having said that, that is as and when Natural England tell us which ones of those we can swale. So there is nowhere you would be allowed to go out and swale all of those. Historically, when we've done it, we did area 1, 3 and 7, which 7 is particularly difficult because so to get those blocks to burn like they are, you have to go through with like a flail topper to create what they call a fire break. So like between areas 1 and 2, you can see that divide running north to south. You have to top down through there, so that stops the fire from jumping across, and you have paddles and you have to beat it to stop it running. Because they, when we did, they did 1, 2 and 3, they wouldn't allow you to do. They would let you do 1 and 3, and then ideally the year after you would do 2 in the middle. But yeah, area 7 is particularly down around there. It's quite difficult. Whenever they ask for area 7, it is a bit of a, it's a mission to get down there.
Technically, it's a bog, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is wet. It is not easy to get down there and do it. We have done it, and at some point it will need doing again. So those are the main areas that they ask us to swale, but it is as and when, sort of every year, we'll email them about September normally, sort of early autumn, to say, because you can only do it through the winter months, so we like to try and get it done reasonable time before it does get too wet, or we have to wait until the spring to get it done. But those are the areas which can be swaled, which it'll be interesting to see this year if they want any done or not. I expect they will, because there hasn't been any done now for a couple of years, like that, which is quite, it's always interesting. Always need volunteers, feel free to come along. We'll let you know when it is. But yeah, it's an interesting experience.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
That's all right.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Do you want
Thank you,
this
Bob.
box back?
And Andrew, for your contribution. Do you want these back then?
Yes, please. Well, I'm particularly worried about the dairy strips.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I am not.
Thank you.
Are you going to stay, or do you want to make a move?
Did Joe, do you want to do about?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, can you clarify what options we've got?
No, that's fine.
for tenancy, please?
So Lower Chetnall, just moving on to talk about obviously the parish land and things. Lower Chetnall has been let out to Matthew Mugford. Joe sent me the details and things about doing the tenancy and whatnot for that. Which the only issue I've got the 1 month's notice period if the tenant wants to leave the tenancy. That in statute you can't do under a farm business tenancy, because under the Agricultural Tenancies Act 95 it's 12 months clear notice, so we can't draft a tenancy that says that he can give 1 month's notice.
Sorry, we were giving him 1 month?
No, you
I
were
thought he
going to
was
allow
giving-
him, because he's just starting out,
Yes,
this is
yeah.
just what I had,
Yes.
just to say that then if he wanted to leave it, if it was too much for him, he could serve you 1 month's notice to bring the tenancy to an end. Under law, it can't be done. Now your alternative, what I've sort of, me and Bob discussed this morning, and said that you could do what's commonly termed as a grazing licence or a grasskeep agreement, in fact, which we would normally use it sort of to protect people in terms of inheritance tax, to keep them farming. That's as your usual use and things. But I mean, for you, for one field like that, you could do a 2-year licence, which doesn't fall under the Agricultural Tenancies Act 95, and so then you are outside of that statute. And then you could write in that it's actionable on 1 month's notice for him. You would have all the same protections in terms of he would still need to maintain all of the hedges, do all of the works, all of that side of it. You would have the same protection. In effect, it would do exactly the same thing, just that it's called a licence, not a tenancy, and he can leave on 1 month's notice if he wants. So really, it was just to make sure, get your thoughts on it, to make sure you're happy that either I draw up a tenancy and there's 12 months notice, or if you want to do it, we can do it, but it will be under a licence. Like that, which is up to you guys which way you want to go with that, really.
Can I just ask a quick question? Can you switch to a tenancy agreement at the end of 2 years? So if
Yeah.
he wants to continue?
Yeah. After the 2 years, if you wanted to, you could then grant him a 3-year FMT or a 2-year FMT or whatever you wanted. But then he would obviously be on that 12-month notice period again, rather than
That's
1 month. So yeah,
But
you
by
could
that
do.
time, he'd be aware of what it's
Yeah, what it
Yeah.
is, what it's like.
Yeah. In effect, he would be somewhat more established.
Yeah.
Meaning that by 2 years, he'll know does he want to do this or not, really. But for you and for him, it's a change of name, and it will make very little difference. You will both be as protected. Just it gives you that flexibility on the notice period for if he wanted to get out, then he has that option. Just so that, so that's really how it is. But just to put it to you guys.
Can I ask, is that 1 month's notice for him, 1 month's notice for the parish council?
That is one of the other questions, was if you decided to do a licence, that's fine, but it's whether, I've just got the notice to say that he can serve you 1 month's notice, is whether you want that put back on him to also say, well actually if you wanted to remove him for any reason, it's unlikely but you never know, then you could serve 1 month's notice, which would seem fair that it works both ways, like that, but yeah, that is one thing that if you did decide to go down that route, I just wanted to clarify. Yes, George?
Yeah, what we did at the time was his young lad coming in, it's just to protect him really, because he is paying a very good rent. And wanted to give an option that if somebody found it, he didn't want it on his neck. And I don't think we need to give him 1 month's notice for let him to be able to carry on. I'm just looking at a young lad coming in straight out, and the parish council can be a little bit helpful. So allow him the chance to see what it is, and then we'll have a 6 month or a 3 month or 6 month, so that he knows he can stay there for 6 months or 12 months or 2. I don't mind which, or whatever advice you are. But it was to be helpful to him as a parish council.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, yeah, you're open, under a licence, you're open to sort of agree whatever you want, really. But I mean, I think, to me, I think a 6 month notice period would be fair from you guys to give in, because that's plenty of lead time. 3 months, I'm assuming he's farming sheep, 3 months, depending on time of year, can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas a 6 month on anybody is quite a decent lead time. That
Down
you
the
should
parish
be able to
council
develop.
what they wish.
It's, however,
No, sorry, I just want to explain. I wasn't saying that we would want 1 month's notice. I was just saying, does it automatically become 1 month's notice?
yeah, no, it's open for, we're open to invite whenever we want. I would suggest
So
6.
you could actually say he has the 1 month, we could give
Yeah, so it would say that him as a licensee, he can
Yeah.
serve you 1 month's notice, but as a
But we could give
licensor,
6
you
months.
would have to serve 6 months, which is fine, but it's, whatever you guys want
agreed through 1 month for him, 6 months for us, or 12 months for us?
Well, I mean,
Can I just ask?
6 months perhaps.
Under the tenancy agreement, do they normally have 12 months?
12 months, yeah.
So
every
why
year.
would we want to change that then? I would propose 12 months.
It's a young man.
No, that's what I'm saying. So, as he said, yeah.
12
Yeah,
months
it's
for us.
entirely up to you.
12 months
months
for
for
the
us.
parish council
Yeah.
and 1 month for
12 months for us, 1 month for the young
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Just one, Joe, you might. His rent, is that paid, is it a prepayment or is it paid in arrears? Do you know?
It was going to be paid in arrears, it's going to be paid monthly in
Yeah.
arrears.
Paid in arrears. Is there any particular date that it pays that?
No,
That's fine. That's right. That's fine. I will get that all drafted up and sorted out.
Good.
Unless you've got any other questions, I can choose all that I think we've got. Is there anything else? You got anything else? Was that?
There was another item on the agenda, 28.
Sorry, what are you looking at?
28.
28.
You've got your,
Oh, the hedge trimming, yeah.
and you've got your experts here. If you've got questions, now's the time to ask them.
That was something you asked to be put on the agenda, George.
Yes, well, for what the piece that I was regarding about is back lane down through, back lane through there, yeah. Now, at the moment, land, whoever owns the hedges has to do it. Now, the first bit is owned by the people who are looking after those bungalows, and they refuse to trim their hedges. I know last year, not their responsibility, but I'm sorry, it is their responsibility. But at the moment, when you go down through there, if we don't use it, that lane is for, I mean, we've moved sheep over the past year, we've moved sheep down there, and we've gone up and down with landowners instead of going around the village making a mess, whatever. But 3 things stop us doing that now. First of all, is the cars parked at both ends, but also if you don't use it, you lose it. So people will be able to still walk down there. I would suggest it's getting overgrown. In a minute you won't be able to ride down there. It does look nice overgrown, but in a minute it's going to come right across the road. So I don't see why landowners of both sides are not made, and I don't see how they can wiggle out of it, the people who run it, that they own the hedge, they have to deal with it and trim it. Trimming starts 1st September, but on main roads, not for health and safety reasons, you can start 1st of July. But anyway, so that was the point that I wanted to bring up, is we've let it lie in abundance. Also, there's from where the old people's bungalows end, there's a hedge going to the far end, going south, and at the moment, nobody seems to know who owns. Now, I would like to be found out if that is right, and get the people who are supposed to trim it, And on the right, there's people who are supposed to be trimming it. They've been sold in individuals who is supposed to trim it and they're right. But, you as parish councillors, one that we look to see what I'm talking about. It's a nice avenue, but if you don't start using it, allowing it to be used for a vehicle, you'll lose that, and you'll never be able to do it again. Horse riders in a minute won't be able to go down through there because they'll be grown in, so you're going to get horse riders who prefer to go through those lanes instead of going up and down the village with cars going up and down. So it wants looking at and dealing with before it's finished.
I could probably help you on this, George. Back lane has been a problem going on, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've written letters to the residents, and we've never been able to get any of them to cut their hedges. So what we did last year, once we had the footpath partnership, I brought this up with the council, the footpath representatives, and they gave us a grant to cut it.
Oh, they have?
They did that last year. They've also done it this year. So we've got money available to cut it ourselves, and all we need to do is get a contractor in, and we can do it. Then we're not
got enough money to do it.
Yeah, we asked how much it was going to cost,
Fine.
and we got that as a grant.
So why should we subsidise the people who own the
because we've tried and tried and tried and it just hasn't happened.
If I may,
Go on.
the hedge that George is talking about from Barton Road inward was owned by Felix Durinsky.
Are you talking about where the old people's
The
bungalows
hedge
are?
next to the road where the bungalows are,
Yes.
not the old people's bungalows.
Oh, no, I was talking about the old people's
Forward.
bungalows.
No, you were talking about all the hedge. Well, the hedge
Yeah.
that you've been trying to find out ownership for, because Felix owned the field below his bungalow,
Yep,
opposite the factory,
yep.
and that hedge still exists along the lane up until it reaches Westwood Housing.
That's, yeah, West Road. That's right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was owned by Felix Durinsky. Now, he, as far as I'm aware, didn't leave it to anybody when he died. He kept the hedge back as a ransom strip so that nobody could develop below it. And that remained within his ownership. Now, I've asked Leon about it, and he said, no, nothing to do with me.
So could I ask our advisor if he's got any knowledge of what so in other words, we as a parish council have to deal with it?
We're not paying it for it, George. This is a grant that we're getting from the council. There's no parish council money going.
I'm thinking about the principle of it.
I agree with what you're saying,
Yeah.
but
So, I'm
we've
just
tried
wondering,
and we've got nowhere.
Does,
Depends on Felix's will. What happened to the remainder of Felix's estate when he died? Because that hedge went with that remainder of the estate. There's your key to
Yep.
it.
If nobody uses it, does it become like the council
No,
own it?
No.
They don't actually
Legally, you
inherit
can't
it.
touch it.
Right.
so we as a parish council decide whether we subsidise people to cut their hedges like the Southwest Homes, which you use in parish council money to do a favour to some people and not the others.
Well, as I said, it's not parish council money.
George, I'm not even certain that you were there to cut the hedge that belongs to Felix.
I'm thinking about the users. I'm thinking about the users.
I don't care about the use. What I'm saying is, I'm not.
Well, it's all right.
certain
Okay,
legally
enough.
whether you're legally
We've,
allowed to cut it.
Let's leave this because we have got a grant from the council to cut this.
So you're
I know the
using-
principle you're saying, but we've tried. I remember Pat going to and fro with letters and a lot of time was spent and we got nowhere. So we're lucky enough to have a grant coming to us.
So through the chair, we are subsidising someone else and not subsidising other people.
Well, maybe
because there is a lady, quite rightly, an elderly lady said she's not gonna cut it because she can't afford it. Fair enough. So then we'll take on the responsibility as a caring council to do it.
Hi.
So we are then gonna.
If we didn't get the grant from the council, we wouldn't be doing this.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
If it would help, if you look at it logically, it's a private way. The county council have responsibility for rights of way. The county council have the power to serve notice on the adjacent landowner to trim their hedges. It's their decision whether they make the landowner trim their hedge or whether they go in and do it themselves. The county council in effect have delegated the parish council to do it on their behalf.
Exactly. And that's really what the partnership is about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 23, Clerk's report.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. You've got your correspondence.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, there's not too much to mention actually. You've had most of the items sort of sent through to you, and there's not too many updates at all. Obviously, the biggest thing to note is the completion of the internal audit, and that's covered by the agenda anyway. And there, Alison Holmes has actually advised that they have collected £800 in fines to date, and they are going to be paying that straight into the parish council's bank account. I mean, there may be more, but that's what's been collected so far. It's £100 a fine, and the contractors have been fined after they have been warned at least twice.
Okay. I didn't expect we'd get any there, I have to say.
So it'll be in it imminently anyway. And I just highlighted a couple of items in the Devon Association of Local Councils, the newsletter, because there was a feature about Buckland Brewer in one of the newsletters about the logo, the new logo and the branding. And there's also something in newsletter 25 because the anniversary of D-Day is going to be commemorated next year, and parishes are being encouraged to light a beacon. That's June 2024. So just highlighting the date if anybody wants to start thinking about that, and if we do want to mark
we've already talked about that, and I suggest putting on something like we did earlier last year.
And the training's been booked as well.
With the training, obviously, you've seen a few notes from Jane with concerns about the number of opportunities to go. Can you have a look at that and just see how many there are?
There are various options. There are online training options as well. And there's, the face-to-face courses. Now, those courses are £75 plus VAT per person. They're £90 plus VAT, I think, for the full day one.
What about the Zoom ones?
Beg pardon. 75 for the full day course. If you do a Zoom one, there are 3 modules and they're £30 a time. Sorry, I knew that was where I got £90 from. So it's £90.
How much a time?
Do all 3.
How much a time?
30.
They're the ones I did. I did it that way, and it was.
Sorry, I was a bit premature, and I sincerely hope you don't think it was presumptuous, but I have put a call out to doubt because there is a local course next Thursday. If I can bump in on that one, I'm a big girl, I'm quite happy to go on my own. £75. Doubt will not now respond to me until Monday because they don't operate on Fridays, do they? And I was of a mind, quite honestly, it is important to get this training. I cannot do that on August the 10th, and I was going to inquire whether they've got a place. It needs to be done, and I'm happy even just to pay by credit card up front and sort the mess out.
George, you can't make the 10th either, can you?
I can't make 10. The only one I can do is the first.
No.
And if Jane wants to go to, if you can get me on the same day as Jane, if we've got to go to Exeter, I'll drive to Exeter.
What, you can do the Exeter one, but not the one in Biddy next week?
What about you, Trevor? Can you do the 10th?
I'm fine with the 10th.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So we've got 2 people who can't do the 10th.
So are people happy for me to just try and sort something out?
Is this something you want to organise? I know it's your remit. Would you like, or are you happy for them to organise their own? I mean, how much are we talking about?
Well, it's as Joe said, it's £75 plus VAT per person. If you do an online, it's 3 lots of 30.
Yeah.
So it's as broad as it's long, if you like.
Well, I'm happy that it's cheaper than doing the online if you do it in the 3 modules. I'm happy with that. Yeah.
It's up to the council. I mean, obviously, you've got to agree that.
Yeah. I mean, we've got our date now, haven't we? And
I'm just truly sorry. I just will not be in the country, and it's
no. I mean, we can't. People have got commitments, and that's understandable.
It's got to be done, and it just struck me that.
Well, do you 2 want to work together and do something with you? And
that is okay. I'll sort it
I'm
out.
happy with that. Everyone happy?
Just
Let's just get it done.
I'll keep you
Okay,
posted.
that's fine. Well done.
Good. Thank you.
Got the water leak there. It's an outstanding action, but I'm going to talk about that later anyway. Sorry, Joe. That's the correspondence updates.
There's nothing else to update. Everything is about the year-end accounts and audit, so it's
Did you want to go through these finances at all? I mean, has everyone looked at them? Basically, we're spending more than we're earning.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go through it in any depth, but I've just put it up on screen. I know it's quite difficult to read, but just to highlight, yeah, the spend is, or the overspend is quite significant. And if you take Thornhill Head out of the equation, then the overspend is 13,500 for last year. It's only reduced down to 7 because Thornhill Head has obviously made a profit, but as Bob has already said, you can't touch that spend on purpose. So there are...
Sorry, I missed that. What did you say? We can't touch what? Sorry.
Can't touch Thornhill Head.
The Thornhill Head money. Thornhill Head has got a surplus for last year,
Yeah.
but obviously you can't offset any of that
That's,
shortfall
well,
in the main account.
that's in debate for I'm concerned.
Okay. Okay, well,
Well, we take a certain amount out for,
Yep.
like, paying for fixes to do,
Fixes.
whatever, and
so
anything to do with the moor,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
oh, absolutely, yeah, anything
yeah,
to do with
You know,
Thornhill
like,
Head.
like your time, we charge,
Yep.
that is, or we have in the past, you know, the clerk's time, if he said, well, I'm doing X number of hours a month on the, we put a bill in to have that out of the moor account.
Right, I've not seen any of that in recent years.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, there is.
For Clark's time.
Yes.
Yeah, that is the,
Yeah.
Clark's time spent on
you
the moor,
separate
charged to the
time
moor.
out
I think it's do it in two different
and
parts.
charge for the Thornhill Head. You have to look back through Pat's accounts to see it.
Well, no, I've gone back through the last 2 years.
Well,
There's nothing in the last 2 years.
you know, he told us that every meeting.
Well, there's nothing in writing, nothing in paperwork.
You must talk to Pat. He certainly
Is there anything?
put his time into that account.
That was agreed right at the start. That would be
Yeah.
That's right.
10 year, 15 year when it was started.
Okay, we probably need to have another conversation then, because that's the first I've heard of that, and Pat didn't mention that in the
And
handover.
it's not come over in the handover either, no.
No.
Seen it.
No. So anyway, so there are various reasons. We've only had to comment on a few variances. There was quite a big variance from last year to this, and it was because of the grant funding. We had quite a sizable grant relating to the fitness equipment, and spend obviously relating to the fitness equipment on the amenity field. So that was flagged as quite a big variance. And staff costs were significantly higher because there was the overlap for the handovers. So there were sort of 2 clerks in place for a couple of months last year. But the actual audit itself, the auditor hasn't found any sort of major findings, and all of the accounts have been verified. She's gone through absolutely everything, and as I say, nothing has been raised at all. It's probably just very quickly worth mentioning the reserves that we've got earmarked. All of the Thornhill Head monies, as it stands, are held in reserve purely for Thornhill Head. And there are a couple of other things that we can't touch for any other purpose. So, for instance, we've got a reserve for the allotment and field deposits, because that money needs to be given back if any of our tenants give up their allotments or whatever. We've got some money in for the election expenses, and we haven't had the bill for the election in May yet. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. It's probably going to be in the region of the reserve, which is 2,200, but as I say, the bill's not in yet. And the only other one that is money that has to be ring fenced is the air ambulance reserve, because that's a historic grant and the stipulation is that we can't use that for any other purpose.
So again, where does that air ambulance money come from?
Wasn't it a bequest? Wasn't it Bruce's bequest?
No, that was the
and the defibrillators.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a big question.
That was
Yeah.
Yes.
The grant, the air ambulance was a grant, the defibrillator was a bequest, but that reserve has now gone.
Sorry, the air ambulance was a grant from the government, the air ambulance or what?
It was a grant actually from the air ambulance. It was from that charity.
Right, for the airfield,
Yeah. And so all of our maintenance costs for that amenity field, you know, for the electricity and things like that, that all comes out of that
It comes out of that.
pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, all happy for me to sign that off? Well done, Joe, picking that up halfway through and making it balance.
Can we, so therefore Joe can take our separate working for Thornleigh Moor out of our clerk expenses from the parish council and allocate her Thornleigh Moor accounts every time she picks up the phone to Hickses or anything to do with Thornleigh Moor, it's taken out from the Thornleigh Moor account. Yes?
Yeah.
No reason why not. Are you happy to do that?
Yeah,
That's what she
It's not too much extra work.
Yeah, that's what she does.
To be honest, it's not going to make that much difference, to be honest, because we're just
Do you want to trial it for a little while and we'll see how much difference it actually makes? Yeah.
It would be a nominal sum, you'd probably better off just doing a nominal sum every month.
Fine, that's fine,
Yeah,
as long as
good.
there's something taken out.
Okay.
Okay, good. Right, dispensations. I think you talked about this earlier. The councillor's dispensation relating to aspects of the budget setting and the precept demands, that's standard, we've got to sign off, haven't it? We've all got to sign that.
Yeah, and that is purely, thank you,
Yeah.
that is purely because you're all council taxpayers and what have you, that you couldn't discuss the budget because you've got a conflict of interest potentially with discussing the budget for your own council tax.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's
makes
all
sense.
that covers. And obviously anything relating to the budget, whether it's allotments, fields, whatever, everything is covered by that dispensation.
Okay. Yeah. The granting of clerk's dispensation to authorise payments. We talked about that earlier. I think that's a good idea myself. I would propose we go ahead and sign that.
Is it allowed? Is it possible?
Yeah, you've had that back now, haven't you? All agreed?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, the subcommittees and councillor roles and responsibilities. Joe sent out a list asking people to volunteer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a comment about that. If you remember, I said that we shouldn't do any agreements until we'd all had our training, because we don't know what can't think what it is now, but we don't understand, or some of us don't, agreement of subcommittees and councillor roles.
Well, I note your objection there, but we've had subcommittees going for on and on. I note your objection, and we have got training, but we've had subcommittees running for years. We've had allotment committees, we've had various committees, so I think we can carry on as we are, and if we need to alter them at all, bring them more up to date, then we can. But I think we've got to have a field and allotment subcommittee because we need an inspection, and we can't wait until August. You know, we need to start working on this governance.
We also need to find out if there is any personal, well not personal, but things being councillors in the allotments, holders, conflicts of interest.
Well,
really.
We employ a clerk to guide us on this, and she will.
Sorry?
We employ a clerk who will guide us on the law and what we can and can't do, and I'm sure she will speak out if we're doing anything wrong. So I
Can I just say, I was under the impression that if we were allotment holders, we would have dispensation.
Yeah, we will.
So
And-
we
Yeah, but
have
you've got to say that's got to be done.
Well, it's already been discussed,
Willy-nilly.
hasn't it?
I thought it'd already
Covered by that.
Yeah,
because
we're
that's
covered
the
already.
dispensation.
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So can I just confirm then, we've got a dispensation where it comes to?
Yes, that's been done and talked about. You know, what we don't want to do is drag our heels on this. We need to get things clear so we can get on with our jobs.
Can I just ask also, Mr Chair?
Yep.
Can I? Part of what Councillor Mills was saying, if I, or any one of us, has got an interest in something, we have to declare an interest.
Yes.
Now, if when we're discussing and voting on allotments for either prices or decisions or whatever you're going to do, are you saying now that the councillors who have an allotment do not have to declare their interest and are allowed to vote on it?
They're allowed, yeah, they're allowed to vote on it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what? Even if they have an allotment, they're allowed to vote regarding allotments.
Yes,
So if I've got an interest, what you're saying then
yeah.
is if someone's got an interest on a building site or a hedge, or could benefit from a building site or a hedge, what the allotment holders who are on this parish council are benefiting from, the decision they make affects them, affects anybody else. So that decision, what you're saying to me now, is if we declare an interest, we can still vote. That's what I
You can
understand.
anyway. If you declare an interest on a bit of land, you can still vote.
No,
But
you
you
can't.
just declare
No,
an
you
interest.
Look, this,
No, you
you've
can't.
just proven my point here. We can't agree.
Well, we've got Joe to
And-
lead us
and
on
we
this.
need training.
Sorry.
Can I
I
just
don't-
clarify, this dispensation, this is not a new thing, you've had this year after year after year.
Yeah, but Joe, to be quite honest,
Andrew,
it never
you're
happened.
not speaking from the
I
pub.
know,
No,
I'm
you're not
sorry.
speaking, please.
George is right to some degree.
But it's nothing to do with you. You're in the public gallery and you're not to speak.
I'm a member of this parish.
You are not allowed to
Then I'll
speak in
write
there.
it out and put it elsewhere.
You're not allowed to speak in here. It's from the public gallery at this stage. Unless the chairman says so. And we don't want to get into an argument about this. You're no longer a parish councillor.
I'm aware of that.
Can I say, sorry,
Can I just ask a question? I think perhaps what the confusion is about with clarity is actual financial gain. I think, just putting it simplistically, just say you've got an allotment and it's charged at, I don't know, £30 a year, and the parish council proposes putting the rents up to £40 a year, so there's a financial interest there. Are we saying then that dispensation still covers you, enables you to vote and possibly potentially vote against it because you've got a financial interest in that cost?
Well, yeah,
not
but
going
it's the
up?
same principle as the precept.
No,
Because
sorry.
if you look at the precept,
I
you
don't
are
agree.
voting to set your council tax rate, or the element of the parish council
No, I
council
don't
tax.
agree either.
I don't
I'm
agree.
afraid. It's
I don't agree.
been my
all.
understanding for many a long year that
Well,
financial
I'm sure
benefit-
Joe will clarify this. But I don't have an allotment.
No, and I don't,
My
but-
partner has an allotment and
Yeah,
So you do,
but
yeah.
partners and spouses are deemed exactly the same as the members themselves.
But you're not gaining money, are you? You're not
No.
gaining money
Sorry,
from that.
I'm sorry, you are, because you've done, if you're voting for an increase and you vote not to an increase, you're saving yourself £5. I know it's minuscule, I'm talking about the principle.
I'll be quite honest with you. If you wanted to pop the rent up to 40 quid, I would quite still.
I'm sorry, it's the principle. If you don't understand that, what I'm trying to drive at, every decision that when I
But it's the
declare an
same with the
interest,
council tax,
sorry,
George. It's the same with the council tax. We're making decisions.
a council tax is completely been in law when you're voting for an MP or whatever. That is in law. Council taxes are in law. I'm talking about the principle.
when's the next rental rise due?
Oh, it's only just been done.
Yeah, so it's not going to come about, is it?
No.
Until after the training anyway.
No.
Let's
it's years
just
away. she is aware.
I mean, I'm happy if everyone wants to forget these roles for now.
No, it's not that. Sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, I'm just saying if you want to leave it until after training, but I don't
No,
see
I
any
don't
point.
need to leave it until after training, because this question will not be answered in training. We can deal with this now, no problem. I simply asked the question about principle of declaring an interest, A, being allowed to speak once you are declared an interest, and B, allowed to vote or not vote when you have declared.
I think Joe's already said we can.
I'm sorry, Joe, our clerk is not the decision maker.
She's not the decision maker, but she guides us through what is law and what isn't.
No, I'm sorry, she is not qualified lawyer.
Look, okay, let's just stop this, because
I'm not
Joe
stopping,
is our employee.
Whatever.
No, listen, George, let's leave it here. Joe is our employee, and she's not answerable to any one of us.
No.
But she's answerable to us all as a group, and she shouldn't come under attack from any.
I'm sorry, I do apologise. I'm not attacking
Let's.
your clerk.
Joe has given us the benefit of what she believes is right on this, and we need to accept it. And I mean, if you're unhappy about it, we can ask Joe to have a look at it again, and just to check. But I'm happy with what Joe's saying on this. If we're allowed to, I mean,
Okay, if you vote, that's fine. If you vote on it, you vote in favour. That's all right.
I want. I mean, if necessary, when we come to have a.
Let's have a vote on it. Let's have a vote.
Hang on a minute. When we come to a declaration of interest, there's no skin off my nose to say I've got an allotment, if that's what you want.
Oh, no, I've got no problem doing that.
I've got no problem.
Okay, but that's what we'll do.
Can I just bring one thing up here? I feel that we're undermining the clerk here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Obviously, quite obviously
Yeah.
upset. And we are in public here, and we are undermining her.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I am sorry, and I apologise, but I am
we have a
not-
duty of care.
not
So
undermining the clerk. All I asked for was the principle of the whole situation. And if you don't understand what I'm asking for, the principle, and I apologise. I apologise.
we understand, George. That's fine. Let's move on.
I will apologise
No
to the
no
clerk
need.
if I've upset the clerk.
Can we,
You-
But it's a
can we just take
principle,
a break?
it is a principle of what is going on.
You okay? Yeah. Okay. So I hadn't. Are you sure? Okay. Let's.
I'm angry more than upset.
Okay. Look. Let's allow Jo to do her job, and let's do ours. Can we?
I apologise.
No, you're fine. You're fine, George. And I know that.
Principle. Now, I'm an elected. I believe in democracy, and I'm elected parish councillor.
Right, we've got.
I abided by that all the time.
Let's leave these roles and responsibilities for today. Okay, and have a think about it.
So
Agreed?
I'm not referring to these roles. I just wanted to know the principle of that. Now we can fill out these. I've got no problem with filling out these. You can do whatever you
Can
like,
I ask
or
a
you can
question?
carry on with them now.
Okay, George, we've talked about this to the
Can
end.
I just get this right in my head? Because obviously before we came along and we've been elected in, were the previous parish councillors trained?
No, I was the
Yes.
only one who was trained.
Yes, some were, some were.
Okay, so the people that weren't, were they members of the subcommittees?
Yes.
Yes.
So why are we so worried now about the training?
I agree.
when people were quite obviously not trained
I
in
agree.
the past.
I agree.
I
That's
agree.
right.
Therefore,
say
could we please sort this out?
Yeah. Let's just move on. I note what Andrew said, and we will all have training. Now, do we want to do these roles now, or should we leave them?
Yes.
I'd like
Do
to
them
do
now.
that.
Okay.
Do them now.
Right. Let's look at the Field and Allotment Subcommittee first.
In the past, we've only had one allotment holder on the field allotment committee, and you had the chairman and the vice chairman and the clerk.
That's what was in the past, but we're not in the past now.
Then we had, that was in the past,
Yeah.
then we had a open meeting where all the tenants could come to, and then it went back to the parish council.
Right. I don't know what you're saying, but
Yeah,
it's in the past. We are a new council,
Area.
and we, you know, it's difficult for change. It's always difficult to accept change and changes, but we need to move and change. We are going to change, and we need to move forward. So, who has put their name down as Field and Allotment Committee?
I'm sorry, can I just ask one quick question? I know there's I believe there's lots of people put their names down. Will there be any scope for further inclusion? I know Trevor talked about in the past, and this is the future, but I believe Gresh's husband, Chris Kaminsky, was always part of the subcommittee.
He was. I don't know if he still wants to be.
Will he be invited? Will that be something?
No, I guess so, if he wants to do it.
What will happen? The committee elected and the chair might approach him with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, or the clerk, she can write to Chris
Yeah,
and just
I
see
mean-
if he wants to still be part. I mean, he was part of it as an allotment holder, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yes, yeah.
And I think he was, I believe,
And,
he
he,
was
and
very
not part of the
helpful.
parish council.
Yeah, I think he got quite stuck in actually.
He is.
He did. He enjoys it. Does a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, do you still want to do it, Trevor?
I put my
Not,
name
not
down.
really, no.
Really?
What was
Okay.
that?
I
What was that?
put my name down to do it, but if there's a problem.
Well, if Trevor doesn't want to do it, you've got Phil. You want to do it?
Yeah, I'm
So-
happy to, but can I just sort of butt in here? We seem to be going round in ever decreasing circles. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can we scrap this until we've decided what roles are going to be sorted out, who would want to do what, etc., etc. This is a joke. This is an absolute farce.
Well, I tend to agree with you there. That's why I
Can
said, shall we
can
just
scrap this
pass on
item
it?
and move on to the next item?
Sorry,
No.
I don't agree with you at all. I mean, we're just doing, I was arguing on a point of principle. Nothing to do with this.
I don't disagree.
Right, okay, we're going to stop now. We're going to have a vote. We're going to have a vote. A show of hands for people who want to finish the roles and responsibility tonight.
Well, I did, but I'm.
Yeah, I'm actually.
One,
happy to
two,
do it.
3.
So to do
I
it.
am happy
Yeah.
to
To do it.
To do it. To do it.
I'll get it done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, okay. Well, let's just do it properly then.
Can we go for the list of what people have said not to?
Joe, do you want to go through, give us a list and start them in an order?
Okay, so do you want to just...
And if we can't agree on anything, we'll leave that one.
Yeah.
So do you want to go through by committee? Is that the easiest thing?
Yeah.
Okay, right, fields and allotments then. The people that put their name forward, Phil, Kathy, Richard, and
Me.
yeah.
That's 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one else? Are we happy with those 4 then? Because we need 4, don't we?
There's no such figure. We've never fixed a figure.
Oh, we had 4 though, didn't
You
we?
could have a minimum of 3 for each committee.
3?
Yeah, and I would suggest that probably 4 is reasonable just to allow for absences.
Okay.
And perhaps if somebody, sorry, I'm just speaking for Chris, I know he's not here, but, you know, asking him.
Yeah,
that would-
okay. If we're happy with those 4, we'll those 4. Okay?
But he's co-opted to support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one.
Right then. Will Phil also volunteer to look after the big activated signs? He's still able to do that?
Yeah, I'm happy if you do. I've got all the equipment. Are
There
you?
wasn't a stampede for that one.
Yeah, you can have that.
It's a two-man job, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
really, else we have the same problems we have before.
Yeah. We've got 4 batteries for that now, by the way, but
Do they all work now, Richard? Well, that's not a bad thing, I would have thought.
What's that?
Sorry, the
Okay,
batteries.
personnel, right,
Sorry.
Kathy, Richard,
So
Jane.
what are we, sorry, I missed that. What are we talking about?
Personnel.
Personnel.
Right, people who put themselves down. Okay, so stop again. So Kathy, Richard, Jane, Hen, and David.
Can I just ask a point of order? Is it okay to elect David in his absence? Is that something we can do?
We nominate himself.
it's not. Yeah, he's put himself forward.
Yeah, he's sort of not. Is that okay? And that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm
But he's put his
I
name
hope so.
forward.
but
He's
is
put
it-
his name forward.
is that okay?
Yeah. So that's
That committee is a bit different because that's like got like a Chinese wall around it. You can't share everything with the whole council.
No,
That
no,
one.
just,
yeah. So how many is that? Is that 5?
yeah, which is good, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, we only need how many? 4?
Or 4 on that one normally.
Right.
Surely 5 is better if somebody's absent.
Well, the difficulty you've got with that is, as I say, it's limited numbers because it obviously protects some of the information.
But everything that's discussed at any subcommittee has to go through full parish council anyway.
Yeah, it does, yeah. So it'll be
It does.
voted on.
It does,
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah,
The decisions do, but some of the personnel thing wouldn't be disclosed. I mean, for instance, you can't have copies of contracts and things like that.
no, that's understood, but still, you might say 4 ideally, but that sort of implies that the rest of us are not to be trusted, surely, and I think that's a little harsh, don't you?
Yeah.
If you want 5, then...
Sorry?
I think, yeah, if you're going to go 5, you're almost heading towards a full council. You probably don't need 5, do you?
No, you don't.
No. I mean, you're sure you want to do it, Jane?
Very much so. I would have thought I was very qualified.
Well, it's not the point. I'm just thinking you were the last webmaster, you know, and you'll be looking to
precisely,
someone who did your job and...
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I did the job. I wrote the job description. I interviewed the person, and it would be always interesting to see how that is developed. And I would have thought that it would be helpful rather than...
Okay, just pointing out the fact that you've been judging someone who's doing your job.
Well,
if you like.
it's not my job
Conflict of
anymore,
interest in a way?
really.
Would that not be a bit of a conflict of interest?
Pardon?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
No, I mean, I wasn't paid. It was completely different.
Right.
Okay, right. Well, I'll step out then.
You can't, you've got to be there.
Why? What, as the chair? Oh, do I? Oh,
The chair.
okay. Who wants to step out then, or should we keep it at 5?
Keep it at 5.
Is there any other way around sorting that?
No, keep it at 5.
Can I just say something? I feel a little bit uncomfortable. I you know, probably need to have a conversation with you, Jane, but I do feel a bit uncomfortable for both Wendy and I, because you were part of the administration.
I was a volunteer.
No, I know, but, you know, that's...
I'm sorry about that, but if people want me not to be there, then this parish council will have to exclude me. I'm not prepared to stand down.
So can we establish how many people should be on this committee and then we vote in who we want to be?
I think we should leave this one. I think we should leave this one. It's
I still think we should revisit this subject altogether, Chair.
Well, I'm sorry.
I think we should scrap what we've gone through so far.
I don't agree.
Well, shall we have a vote on it?
we've already voted to say to go through with it. How many other more subcommittees are there? I mean, I think we can establish that David is going to be involved with the schools and Dalk. George is going to be the snow warden.
Am I wanted?
Of course you are.
Yes.
Of course you are. If you're happy with me on the
Yep.
footpaths, then I will carry on with that. We want someone to sit on the shop, and hence put a name forward for that.
Yeah.
I think you're the only one. Are you happy for that? We want someone to be on the Playing Field Association. I will probably resign as the chair on that. I can't be doing both, and I think there's probably a conflict anyway. So is there someone who'd like to... We've already got... Sorry, I can't see you down there. We've already got Phil on the... and he can report back.
On what committee is that?
Playing field.
Playing Field Association. Just someone... I was asked to sit on it originally, and then I somehow became the chair. And, but that's probably not right now, although we haven't got another meeting for a while. No, unless we call something. So really, there's only one left, isn't it?
Is it Village Hall?
Village Hall,
Village Hall.
Oh, well, that's you, isn't it? Sorry.
it was.
Well, I assume you want to carry on. You're on the
Oh, yes,
you're on the committee
I
there.
would do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Dave Watson's a trustee as well.
Dave Watson.
He's a trustee as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of roles that are the same as last council, and happy that they carry on. There was a governance one to look at that would be a short-term one, wouldn't it? Just to look at the swap overs and
Standing orders.
yeah, the standing orders and. I mean, how many people have put their self forward for that?
Sorry, can I just ask, this is a fresh one on me, what is the governance subcommittee?
Would you like to explain that, Joe?
The suggestion is just to have a look at all the policies and procedures, because lots of the documents need to be brought up to date, and we haven't really got procedures, or we haven't got procedures. So it was just to look at that and just have that as an internal committee to work through those documents, so just short term, and get those closed off as soon as possible.
Can I just say that the parish council have got to make decisions and look at that. Why would you want another governance subcommittee when you're still going to have a parish council fully understand what it's all about, and then they decide on what is. I really don't understand why we need to duplicate, because this, when you're talking about governance subcommittee, you're then talking about the decision and the voting power of whole parish council.
No.
All you're doing is you're looking at the policies and procedures, bringing them up to date, and then taking the proposals to a parish council meeting for a decision to be made and for them to be adopted or not.
It's to avoid this
So it's
going
just
round in circles in a
rather
meeting
than 9
itself.
people doing it, you just have a smaller group of people to just
And it's
do
only a
that.
temporary,
act.
it's only a temporary
Yeah.
subcommittee.
Mm.
Once
So-
that's done, it's
Through the
scrapped.
chair, then I'm sorry. So what you're saying then is a small committee decides what they bring forward to a larger committee.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's exactly the same as the personnel. You know, you come to what you think is agreement, and then you put it to the council for a vote. It's really, we've been looking at some of the procedures, and they're out of date. You know, if you look at some of the agreements on the fields.
I totally agree with you, but wouldn't it be, I mean, as long as
Can you
the
speak
clerk,
up a bit, George, please?
sorry, as long as the clerk's paid to do all this work, then which she's got to be, then she brings the stuff to the subcommittee, and you have a committee meeting on that, and then you bring the stuff to the parish council.
Oh, okay. Put it another way then.
I'll put it, forget it.
Look at it this way then, George. Would you be happy for Joe to bring all the procedures up to date and then present them to us to vote on, to avoid that subcommittee?
Well, it's going to have to be brought before us anyway. Fine, if you want to govern something, I got no problem with it. I just couldn't understand.
Would you? I mean, is that something you could do, Joe?
You're trying to reduce the work rate for the parish council and the hours that we're here. That's fine with me.
That's what we want trying
That's
to
fine
do.
with me. I just wanted to
We don't want
clarify.
things dragging on.
Okay, unless I may be on my own, but fine, that's fine.
Does it increase or decrease the parish
You want
clerk's work,
per parish clerk.
the government subcommittee?
Short term, getting everything up to date, it would increase it, and it would increase it for the people on the committee.
Yeah,
But long term,
understood.
once they're in place, that's done.
You can see
So,
it.
so it's manageable,
Yes.
manageable for Joe to do
That's
this.
fine. And she's happy. You happy?
Can I just say that Joe's working 80 odd hours a month at the moment?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
And that, you know, that's got to, that can't go on.
Indeed.
No.
We need to get things straightened out. The poor woman's exhausted.
Which is why I asked, really. Is it doable?
Well, the idea was to have input from the council
Yeah.
right from the outset, rather than me drafting something, then going to the council and having, you know, conversations going backwards and forwards. Just,
Fine.
just doing it in one go.
That's what I was trying to
collectively.
clarify.
Yeah.
So by having a governance
Yeah.
subcommittee with ideas feeding in, that lessens your
Yeah.
workload.
It's just complete collaboration to begin with, and then hopefully it will be done once and straight into
Yeah.
the council, and half of the council will have already seen it, or, you know.
That's right.
Okay, so where are we now? We've got, I knew this was going to be tough, this one, this rolls.
Me and
I
Sally,
don't mind throwing my hat in.
me and Sally and
For
Yes. You,
paperwork. Me.
you want to go on it?
Yeah.
And
And Jane, and Jane,
No.
and Jane.
If you want me to, I'll stand back if it
Well,
becomes too
I-
unwieldy.
this isn't something I have to be on, is it, as the chair? Because I don't really know about the procedures themselves. So I'm learning as well. So
Also mine.
yeah. Well, Jo's the one who's going to know, and she'll put them to you. So how many of you are going to do it?
It's only me and Sally at the moment.
I don't mind throwing my hat in the ring if it helps.
Okay.
How many do you want? How many do you think you need?
I do.
I'd say three or four.
Yeah.
Probably ample.
All right, I will put my name on that
Okay.
as well.
That's four ladies.
Yeah. Good. Now, I think we ought to just leave the personnel one. It's obviously causing a little bit of upset, and maybe we need to think about this one. So, should we leave those at there? Those where we are? Right. Sound quality when streaming meetings. How can we make it better? Well, I watched the last meeting, and I couldn't fault it, to be honest with you. I couldn't hear the public particularly well until you came up here and spoke. No, it wasn't you, was it? Sorry, it was a guy came over and spoke here. But the actual committee, I could hear as clear as day.
Brilliant.
And I don't know if anyone's watched it. It's worth watching just to make up your own minds.
Yeah.
Okay?
We'll have to ask David if when the people public participate, then somebody goes around them with a back.
Yeah, it was much better.
George, have you got your microphone on now, or
No.
is it off? Yeah.
No, he's on.
Right, the next item, damage to the shop notice board and decision regarding remedial action. I've spoken to Sharon. They're going to take it down and the other one, so there's nothing needed to be done there.
It's a shame.
Right, members' reports. Now, it's 8:45.
Yeah.
As I said, I watched the last meeting and there was hardly anything on the agenda, and the meeting lasted just short of 2 hours, of which the members' report was over an hour. The members' report is literally a report of things that you have done or we have done, what a member of the public may have said, asked for, something that needs to go on the next agenda. It's not any other business. There's no place for any other business here. So anything that needs to be discussed should be added to an agenda in the future, and the members' report should really only last 5 or 10 minutes. So, shall we start with you then, Trevor?
Yes, well, like that then, I'll have the opening the account with Tamar Trading on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yep.
Other than that,
Yep.
pass.
And I tend to agree with that. I need some stuff from there to make good, but yeah. Jane?
Yeah, they are bullet points, they are reports. First one was I drove a circuit after the last meeting from the Glen to West Hill and back past Tenement Park. I reported 7 road defect potholes, and I did it as a private citizen, not out my parish council account. Summary was that there was one they couldn't find, one they have passed for investigation or repair, 3 they found they not a safety issue, and 2 were too extensive for their programme, and they're passing it for future highways planning. So that's a 1 in 7 score of success, perhaps. I have, which is lovely. So we just keep reporting them. I have written something for the village scene and written something for the website just to guide the public on what to do. It's all on our website. You can do it through our website. That's the first one. Second one was, after the last meeting, I rang Paul Knox, who's the managing director of Pearce. Have you got your spray paint out? Did you do it?
Yes. I went down and had a look in the field, and I went and saw the site manager.
Okay.
Well, he's a standing one until next week or whatever, and said that I wasn't happy with his boss, really, saying nothing needed to do it. So I discussed it with him and said, we need some topsoil scraped over where they done the ditch up through the middle then. He said, Paul Knox must have been and had a look and said he couldn't see anything.
That's what he
Well,
said.
I put my foot in, holes that are 3 or 4 inches deep.
I think you mentioned this earlier, and Joe was going to write to them, weren't you?
Well, I've spoken to Paul. The summary of this was that Paul had said before the fate, if the areas could be identified, which Trevor's just done, they have one more opportunity and need to go back into the field to switch off the old pump, disconnect the old pump. They put new sewage in, and he said if I let him know, he would try and make sure that they go and do that before the fate and put everything right.
Excellent.
So I just need to ring him in the morning
That's
again.
probably why they haven't seeded it, and then we would have to scrape uncover the thing.
So
Okay.
I'll just tell him.
Well done. Okay.
Church seats. I've got the paint and the sandpaper, etc., etc., etc. I know it's difficult to pay bills at the moment, so I've just got the receipt as and when. I've got more time available from mid-July, and I'll hope to start then, weather permitting. And at that stage, if anybody wants to come out and help me clean off a seat while I'm doing it, because I believe you did it last
I did it with Jim last year. It's quite a pleasant time sitting there.
It's
There's one extra seat this year, so we need another person.
It will take as long as it takes, and I'll do that. My thanks both to the clerk and the webmaster for their extra support on Sunday. Richard knows I rang him the loss of 999 services. I felt we ought to get it out to the community, and Joe and the webmaster helped me do that. I got a personal complaint from a parishioner about continued excess speed of vehicles. It's a historic problem, something that we perhaps need to discuss at a future time, please, Joe. But just a question, and it is just a question. In recent times, in the last 12 months, I believe there was a project county-wide from County Council to introduce and enforce 20 miles an hour in villages. Joe, do you know about this? And are we on the radar for this?
I've signed up. Nothing's happened.
No, but we're in there.
We're in there, but the focus is very much on sort of larger communities.
Yeah, the new nuggets in this world.
Yeah. I don't think we will get to the top of the list, in all honesty, based on the criteria they've set for it.
Okay.
But we are registered.
What we can do is keep trying.
Yeah, but perhaps we could discuss that as an agenda item. And last but not least, this is a plea, really. Has anybody got, and I'm sorry if it offends, has anybody got any idea how we get hold of our county councillor? I've got an ongoing 101 reporting matter with a parishioner. I phoned him and he said, send me an email, so I sent him an email. He agreed it wasn't good enough. He referred to Alison Hernandez. My chaser email, I tracked that and it just hasn't even been picked up. So I have rang him and he basically cut me off and said it's not convenient to talk now. Ring me at such and such a time. So I rang him at such and such a time and his phone was switched off. So I left him a voicemail and asked him to ring me back, and he has not done that. I've still got a poor parishioner sitting out there waiting for an answer. Has anybody got any ideas of a way in to our county councillor, please?
Well, I need to speak to him anyway on another matter. So if you can give me his telephone number and a contact, I will ring him and I'll ask him to call you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's me. Thank you.
George?
Yeah, just one thing. Instrument. Actually, is a owner of the Edges Road. Actually, for health and safety reasons, actually doing road edges, which we're allowed to do from either 1st of July see my head from going up and down on the road edges. Now, I appreciate people who like to do blackberry picking later on in time. Just tell me, as car drivers, you know the rest of what you want. Do you want me to do all the narrow roads, or if there's a bit of a wide area, do you want me to leave sections for blackberry picking, or what would you like to do? Blackberry picking?
I would say just do what you do.
Do
I
what
mean,
I
the
do.
roads are really narrow
Yeah,
at the
they're
moment,
really
all round
narrow.
because of their overgrown. Yeah, just do what you do,
Fine.
George.
Yeah,
Go
I've had
for it.
some,
No, I think
Yeah.
that's...
Go for it.
I've had some words.
We
said
can't
to
hold
me.
back that back for that.
I've had words said to me in the past, so
No,
I'll
carry
pass
on.
this around and tell me what to do. Wonderful. Thank you.
Just carry on and
Fine.
make them
Thank
look
you.
wider.
Oh, I did just the same. I done the same as you. I emailed Kieran Stanbury, and I got. He told me he was going on holiday for several weeks. So then eventually, I just went online and did all the same as what you did. And there's a hedge. Somebody complained about the hedge really close and said that you can't walk on the path, on the pavement. So they've come back to me and said that they're going to actually sort that out.
Okay, well done.
So that was good.
Anything else?
No.
Hen?
No, nothing from me.
Sally?
I've just had a visitor in the village, and they walked down towards the village hall, and I haven't checked this, but they said that there's not a very good signposting on the footpath to the village hall and the recreation and the adult gym equipment.
There probably isn't.
They missed it, they
probably no
completely
signing
missed
at
it and
all,
went
is there?
all the way round, and they said it would be nice to have a sign there
Because I mean,
with
when
village
I was-
hall or something, you know, on the footpath. That's all, really, if it could be brought up at another meeting.
There's,
Mm.
If it can be brought up on an agenda.
Good point.
please.
Good point. Bill?
No, all right,
Okay, well, all I wanted to say was about the water supply. You probably all saw my
Yeah,
paperwork.
brilliant.
Surprising how much it leaks over a long period of time. If it's all right with all of you, I will turn the tap off at night, turn it back on in the morning, and next week I've got a friend coming who I used to work with, and Joe, I'd like you to ask permission from the tenant that we're going to go in there, we're going to go and separate the pipe in sections and find out where it's leaking, and hopefully do it next week.
So you're going to do that without a digger?
Mm.
You'll be fit?
Well, to be honest with you, the first thing I'm going to do is squeeze the pipe off in the manhole just inside the thing, because it may be nothing to do with the new pipe that's being laid. It could be on the old plastic pipe between that manhole and the road. And that's the first thing I'm going to do. We've got to squeeze off so we can squeeze the pipe down. And then from there we'll go, because no digging involved there, and then we'll go up to the trough and start there. Because, Trevor, I'll have a chat with you later, just to see if we can get an idea of where the pipes were, you know, where they're continuous. And Andrew, if you could help.
I don't think joints as far as I'm aware. There's a
You're no, yeah, I didn't think there was. I'm sure that you said that before.
manhole on the field side of the hedge,
Yeah.
and then the trough.
So to the trough, and then to trough to the tap. Trough to the tap.
So it's just one continuous.
Yeah. I mean, it should be easy to find. Given that, that's the obvious way to do it. And yeah, that's all it can be. And you know, we're just getting in there and get it done.
How deep, Trev? How deep is the
Oh, I was going to say 900.
Yeah.
the meter?
We'll once we get a certain depth, we can listen for the leak.
Sorry?
Yeah, we've got some pros with an earpiece, and you can actually listen for the leaks, and that's what we'll do. We'll have a go anyway. I'm not promising we'll find it, but we're going to have a go.
If you want me to come up with my JCB in a big bucket, just take out the first 2 foot, I will for it. Save
Okay.
a lot of digging.
I went up there earlier in the week, and that trough is heavy. I did move it on my own, but there will be 2 of us, so I think we're going to be okay. If you can trust me on this, I'll send an email out.
Worry about your muscles.
Okay, so I will turn that off tonight as I walk up there, and I'll turn it on again in the morning. I've got another week off during the next parish council meeting, and I'm going to see if I can train my apprentice at the end there to turn it on and off as well.
I'll be nagging you.
Okay. Oh, why going on holiday? Planning applications, there's none here. Is that because there's none? Accounts, receipts and payments?
Right, so,
Everything's reconciled through the end of May. So total balance is 66,000, well just over 66,000. So 15 of that is in Thornhill Head, plus 11,000 of the savings account balance is Thornhill Head as well. So there's 23,600 in the general account currently, but there are some outstanding checks, or there will be once they're signed this evening. So the payments below, some of those were reported at the last meeting. I've just left them on there because we hadn't issued any checks. The ones that have been added are payroll. There was a bill for the asphalt for the path, and the internal audit fee invoices in as well. And there was an additional gardening invoice, so that figure is higher than it was last time. There's an extra £83 added onto that. And then no additional receipts since the last meeting. That was what was reported last time.
Okay. When will the requests for payment for allotments and such like go out?
No.
They're going out now?
Yeah, now
Okay.
that I've got all that audit stuff out the way, there's allotment stuff to do, and there's some field rents to collect as well.
Yeah. Good. Well, that brings us to the end. 2 hours. Thank you very much, everyone.
Have you closed the meeting?
Sorry?
You closed the meeting?
Yes, I'm closing the meeting, yeah.
Okay. I've got something I want to explain to you that you seem to have got wrong. Dispensations were originally done to get round the council tax precept and well, for when grants were applied to organisations. So if you were on an organisation, you were given a dispensation to discuss the grant. No other dispensation for anything else. That's all it was ever done for. Does that make it clearer to you?
Well, what's your point? Sorry.
It's not to give a allotment holder the right to discuss monies. That's not what the dispensation's for.
It was never intended to say that.
It was never in.
No,
It was purely, it was originally done for the village hall. It was done for the village hall so that people on the parish council could discuss the village hall and grants and the precept. And it was all done for grants. So if you were on an organisation that was going to get a grant, your dispensation covered you for that. And that's, as far as I'm aware, is the only bit of written paperwork on the subject at all.
and that's the wording that, there's the same wording as there's always been in there.
Yeah, but
Not
that's
a new
what it's for.
dispensation.
It's not for discussions and whether you've got a conflict of opinion as regards an allotment holder.
No, but it
You don't have a dispensation for that.
that was never the intention.
But people are getting, I've been listening